Hello, my dear students. Hope you all are fit and fine. Students, in chapter 1, we learn about matter, properties of matter. In this video, we are going to start our lesson number 2. Is matter around us pure? You know about matter. What is matter? Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. It may be solid, liquid or gas. So we can say that anything which has mass and volume is called as matter. You also know that thoughts, feelings, emotions are not matter. We also learn the classification of matter based on its physical properties. That is, it is solid, liquid and gas. So these three states of matter are based on physical properties of matter. So this solid, liquid and gas, we have classified matter in these three states based on its physical properties only. We have not considered its matter's chemical properties. So this is the classification based on physical properties. Now in this lesson, in lesson number 2, we will learn about classification of matter based on its chemical properties. Based on chemical properties, matter can be divided into two types, that is pure substances and impure substances. In our day-to-day life, we use this term pure, such as pure milk, ghee, pure water, etc. Many things such as ghee, butter, spices that we buy from market, the word pure is written on these things. So for us, pure means the things or consumables having no adulteration. So if any adulterant is not added in that thing, then we consider that thing, that consumable, that food item as a pure substance. But according to science, all these things are actually mixtures. So ghee is mixture, milk is also mixture. So let's see what is pure substance according to science. So the definition of pure substance is the substances which is made up of only one type of particles. It is the material which contains only one kind of atoms or molecules, which contains only one kind of particles, is called as pure substance. For example, pure gold, which is made up of only gold particles. Pure water, which is made up of only the molecules of water, that is H2O. So all elements, compounds are pure substances. These substances cannot be separated by physical methods such as evaporation, distillation or crystallization. So remember, what is pure substance? The substances which are made up of only one kind of particle or which are made up of only one kind of atoms or molecules is called as pure substance. The other type is impure substances, also known as mixtures. So mixture contains two or more than two types of pure substances and it is mixed in any proportion. So what is mixture? Mixture is a material which contains two or more different kinds of particles. So those particles may be atoms or molecules and which do not react chemically but are physically mixed together in any proportion, such as sugar solution. So in this we are taking sugar and water, sugar syrup. So we are taking sugar and water and we are mixing it in any proportion. So sometimes we may take 2-3 spoons of sugar in 1 glass of water, or we may take 5 to 6 spoons of sugar in 1 glass of water and we will call it as a sugar syrup. So this is what it is, a mixture in which two or more substances are there which do not react chemically and it mixed in any proportion is called as impure substance. Impure substances can be separated by physical process. So the impure substances can be separated by evaporation, by crystallization, by distillation. So by simple physical processes it can be separated. We will take example of pure and impure substance. For example, sodium chloride, solution in solution. So when we take sodium chloride is nothing but our common salt. When we dissolve this common salt in water, then we can separate it from the water by the process of evaporation. When we will provide heat to that solution, water will get evaporate and we will obtain the crystal of sodium chloride back. So this is what, this is the mixture which in this the sodium chloride and water is mixed in any proportion and there is no chemical reaction. They mixed with each other physically only. Now see what is pure substance. So same sodium chloride, if we have taken sodium chloride crystal, it is a compound NaCl. We cannot separate sodium atoms and chlorine atoms by simple physical process. We cannot separate sodium and chlorine from NaCl by evaporation, by boiling or by any other physical method. So here the solution of sodium chloride is a mixture and crystals of sodium chloride or the compound NaCl is a pure substance. So one is solution is the mixture and compound is a pure substance. Now we will discuss about types of pure substances. Pure substances are again of two types, elements and compounds. Now, what is elements? Elements are the pure substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. So, pure substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms are known as elements. They cannot be split up into two or more simpler substances by any of the usual chemical method. So, this is the basic form of matter which cannot be further simplified. So elements. So now see, Robert Boyle was the first scientist who used the term element in 1661. Then Antoine Lavoisier, a French chemist, was the first who gave definition of element. How he defined element? He said that element is basic form of matter that cannot be broken down into simpler substance and by any chemical reaction. So element is the simpler substance which cannot be further divided into any other simple form. So it is the basic form of the matter and which cannot further simplify. So element is most basic form of matter. Examples we can take, there are 118 elements known till date. Out of them some are natural and some are man-made. Here are some examples such as iron, gold, silver, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, sodium. These are the examples of elements. Now these elements are further grouped or divided into three types, that is metals, non-metals and metalloids. Metals, example iron, copper, gold, sodium. Non-metals are carbon, oxygen, sulfur, and metalloids are boron, silicon and germanium. We will see properties of metals. The metals shows these properties. These are lustrous. Metals are lustrous. Means what? They are having shine. These are the shiny substances. They are having shiny surface. Metals conduct heat and electricity. So metals are the good conductor of heat and electricity. Out of all metals, silver, copper, aluminium are the good conductor of heat and electricity. So silver is a best conductor of electricity, but as it is little bit costly, so we are using wires made up of copper. So copper is also good conductor of electricity. All metals are malleable and ductile. Malleable means when we hammer it, it can be converted into thin sheet. And ductile means it can be drawn into the wires. So we can draw wire from the metals, or it can be drawn into the form of wire. It can convert into the thin sheet. So metals are malleable and ductile. Malleable means it can convert into thin sheet. Ductile means it can be drawn into wires. Then they are sonorous. Sonorous means which can make a ringing sound when it is heated. So if we heat the metal, it produces the ringing sound, and that property is called as sonorous. All metals are hard except sodium and potassium. So all the metals are hard, but sodium and potassium are the metals which are very soft. It can be cut with the knife. So it is just like paneer or butter. So sodium and potassium is the metal, but it is not hard. All metals are solid at room temperature except mercury, which is in liquid state at room temperature. So most of the metals are solid at room temperature except mercury. Next is properties of non-metals. These are dull in appearance. So non-metals are not shiny. They are not having luster. They are poor conductors of heat and electricity. Here exception is there, that is diamond, which is good conductor of heat, and graphite, which is good conductor of electricity. Both are the allotropes of carbon. Both are made up of carbon but having different properties. So non-metals such as carbon, then iodine, bromine, chlorine, oxygen, all these are poor conductors of heat and electricity, but the diamond, which is the allotrope of carbon, is good conductor of conductor of heat, and graphite is the good conductor of electricity. Non-metals neither malleable nor ductile. So malleable means can be hammered into a thin sheet. So we cannot convert it into thin sheet after hammering, or we cannot draw wire from it. They are generally soft except diamond, which is the hardest natural substance. So non-metals are generally brittle, they are soft. If we hammer it, if we apply pressure on it, it breaks down into smaller pieces. But the exception is diamond, which is the hardest natural substance. Non-metals may be solids or gaseous at room temperature. Exception is bromine. Bromine is liquid at room temperature. Next is metalloids. So some elements are having intermediate properties between the metal and non-metals. So they are showing some properties of metals and some properties of non-metals, and so they are called as metalloids. So example is boron, silicon, germanium, antimony. All these are the examples of metalloids. As I told, till date there are 118 elements known to us. Out of them 92 are naturally occurring and rest are man-made. Most of the elements are solid in state. 11 elements are gaseous at room temperature. 2 elements are liquid at room temperature. So remember, there are 2 elements which are liquid at room temperature. One is mercury and another is bromine. Mercury is metal and bromine is non-metal. Next type of pure substance is compounds. Compound is a substance composed of 2 or more elements chemically combined with one another in a fixed proportion. Now see, it is also pure substance, but it is having 2 or more elements which are chemically combined, not physically. In mixture, what we learn, that mixture is a substance having 2 or more type of substances mixed in any proportion, and they are physically they are mixed. There is no any chemical reaction. But in case of compounds, here 2 or more elements react chemically and they form a new substance, and here the proportion of each substance is fixed. So what is compound? Compound is a substance which is formed by chemically combining 2 or more elements in a definite proportion. For example, we will take example of water. What is the formula of water? H2O. So this is the molecule of water which is having 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. So this is what? This is the pure substance which is having 2 elements in it and which are mixed in a fixed proportion by volume also and by mass also. So this is the compound. The composition of each substance is always fixed. So as I told, so composition or the mass is always fixed. The new substance has totally different properties. Now here the property of, in case of water, the property of hydrogen is completely different, property of water is completely different, and when they combine chemically, H2O, water will form, and this water will have completely different properties from oxygen and from hydrogen. It can be decomposed into its constituent element by suitable chemical method. So here compounds can be separated, or we can obtain hydrogen or oxygen, we can obtain its constituent element by some chemical method such as electrolysis or any other chemical reaction can separate the components of compound. Decomposition reaction, electrolysis reaction can separate carbon, can separate hydrogen and oxygen. So example is water, oxygen. Here this is the molecular oxygen, which is made up of two atoms of oxygen. Nitrogen dioxide, it is also pure substance formed by nitrogen and oxygen in a definite proportion. Now we will talk about another type of matter, that is impure substances. It is also named as mixture. What is mixture? So as I told you, it is a material which contains two or more different kinds of particles, that may be atoms or molecules, which do not react chemically but are physically mixed together in any proportion. This physical mixing of two or more substances is called as mixture. There are two types of mixtures, homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. See, homo means same. So mixture that has same proportion throughout the given sample is called as homogeneous mixture. For example, sugar dissolved in water. We obtain mixture which has uniform composition, and here sugar get dissolved in water and gives same taste throughout the solution. So we can observe that the sweet taste is same in each and every part of that particular solution. So the homogeneous mixture means the mixture in which the substances are mixed uniformly with each other. Hetero means different or varying. So heterogeneous mixture has varying proportion of components throughout the sample. For example, oil mixed with water. Here we can't see oil mixed with water uniformly. Only on the surface of the water the proportion of oil is present. So this type of mixture is called as heterogeneous mixture. Now see, homogeneous mixture, all the components of the mixture are uniformly mixed. No separation boundaries are visible. Once this mixture is formed, homogeneous mixture is formed, we can't observe any distinct boundary, any boundary of separation between two components or between the components of mixture. It consists of a single phase. So as the substances are mixed uniformly, it shows single phase. For example, sugar dissolved in water. Another type of mixture is heterogeneous mixture. All the components of mixture are not thoroughly mixed. So here the components are not mixed properly, mixed uniformly. Somewhere we can see more component of particular substance or more concentration of particular substance. Somewhere there is less amount of that component is present. So we have taken example of oil and water. Also we can take example of iron fillings and sodium chloride. So if we will mix salt and iron fillings, we will observe that the uniform mixing is not there. Also we can distinctly observe the boundary of separation, or we can distinguish between the salt particles and the ion fillings. So the separation boundaries are visible in heterogeneous mixture. It consists of two or more phases. Example, air, sand and common salt. So this is about types of mixture. Difference between mixtures and compounds. Now see, what is mixture? Various elements just mix together to form a mixture and no new compound is formed. So in case of mixture, two or more substance mix physically and there is no formation of new substance. Here no new substance is formed. But in case of compounds, elements react chemically and form a new substance which is having completely different properties. So we have taken example of water. In the formation of water, hydrogen combines, react with oxygen and forms H2O, and the properties of hydrogen, properties of oxygen and properties of water are completely different. So here we obtain new substance in case of compounds. Then mixture has a variable composition. For example, sugar syrup. As I told you, we can make sugar syrup with 1 glass water and 2 spoons of sugar also, or 1 glass of water and 4-5 spoons of sugar also. So it may have variable composition, but the compounds has a fixed composition. But in case of compound, for example carbon dioxide, so its chemical formula is CO2. So in this the fixed composition is there, 1 atom of carbon and 2 atom of oxygen. A mixture shows the properties of its constituent. In case of mixture, each substance is having its own constituent properties or its own properties. It does not loses its properties. So sugar dissolve in water, so that sugar is showing its properties, water is showing its properties, and no new substance is formed. Compounds, properties of a compound are totally different from those of its constituents. So in case of compounds, as their chemical reaction takes place, and so the new substance is formed having completely different properties. So properties of original substance does not remain the same. New substance is formed with new properties. Mixture do not have fixed melting and boiling point, as it is not having fixed composition, so its melting and boiling point is variable. But in case of compound, they have fixed melting and boiling point because the composition is fixed in any situation. Then the constituents can be separated easily by physical methods in case of mixture. So by evaporation, by crystallization, by distillation, by filtration, we can simply separate out the constituents from the mixture. But the constituents can be separated only by chemical process in case of compounds. So by electrolysis, by any other chemical or electrochemical process, we can separate the elements from the compound. Now we shall learn about solutions. A solution is homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. We can see different type of solutions in our daily life, such as lemonade, soda water. Students, if you think of solution, you will think it is as a liquid that contains solid. For example, sugar or salt in the water, or potassium permanganate in the water, or liquid that contains liquid like acetone and water, milk and water, or gas in liquid such as dissolved oxygen in water, isn't it? So every time when we think about solution, we think about liquid substance. But do you know, we can also have solid solutions, means solid mixed with solid uniformly. Example is alloys. Alloys are homogeneous mixture of metal or metal non-metal. Do you know alloys cannot be separated by physical method into their components but still considered as a mixture because it shows properties of its constituents and its composition can be different or variable. So alloy is mixture of metal metal or metal non metal. It is solid solution and it is called as solution or mixture because it is not having fixed composition, it is having variable composition. We are also having gaseous solution. For example, air. Air is the homogeneous mixture of different gases. In air, there are number of gases mixed uniformly. So air is also solution. It is a homogeneous mixture. In solution, there is homogeneity at particle level. Means particles of solution mixed uniformly. For example, lemonade tastes same throughout. We cannot say that only some part of it is sweet and tangy and other is not. There are two components of solution. First one is solvent. Solvent is the component of solution that dissolves the other component in it and it is usually present in larger amount. Such component of solution is called solvent. So what is solvent? Solvent is the substance which is present in larger amount and in which another substance get dissolved. For example, water. Here, if we will take example of sugar solution. So here sugar is the solute and water is the solvent because water is present in more amount and that sugar get dissolved in the water. Solute is another component of solution. The component of the solution that is dissolved in the solvent. So the substance which get dissolved in the solvent is called as solute. It is usually present in lesser quantity. So it is present in small quantity. Such component is called as solute. Example, salt, sugar, iodine. All these are the examples of solute. So these two are the components of solution and the solution is the homogeneous mixture of two or more substances. We'll see different types of solutions or examples of solution. Solid in solid solution that we discuss, alloys. Solid in liquid solution, sugar solution, salt solution. Liquid in liquid solution, lemon and water. Vinegar, it is the acetic acid in water. Gas in gas, air. Gas in liquid, soda, water. Some more examples are tincture of iodine. See this tincture of iodine, it is a solution of iodine in alcohol. Here iodine is solid and it is solute and alcohol is the solvent. So iodine which is solid get dissolved in the alcohol which is liquid. So it is solid liquid solution. Another one is soda water. So aerated drinks like soda water are the gas in liquid solution. These contain carbon dioxide as solute and water as solvent. As I told, air is a mixture of gas in gas. Air is homogeneous mixture of number of gases. Its two main constituents are 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen. The other gases are present in very small quantities. Next is properties of solutions. We can also call it as a true solution. A solution is a homogeneous mixture because all the components are mixed uniformly in the homogeneous mixture. The particle size in a solution is less than 1 nanometer in diameter. So 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to minus 9 meter. Particles are very small which we can't see with our naked eyes and particles of solution cannot be seen even with a microscope. A true solution does not scatter the light because of very small particle size they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution. and so the path of light is not visible in the solution. If you will take a true solution, that is sugar solution, and if you will focus the torch light on that solution, you cannot observe the path of light through that solution, because as the particles of solution are very small, it will not scatter the beam of light. Light will pass through the true solution. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed, and so solution is stable solution. So true solution is the stable solution, because solute particles do not settle down when that solution is left undisturbed for 2-3 hours, or for 2-3 days, or for many hours, many days. If we will keep that solution undisturbed, the solute will not get settled down, and such solution is called as stable solution. The solute particles cannot be separated from the mixture by the process of filtration. As the particle size is very small, it cannot be separated by the process of filtration. So now we will talk about concentration of solution. Depending upon the amount of solute present in solution, solution can be called as dilute solution or the concentrated solution. Means if the amount of solute present in solution is less, then that is called as dilute solution, and if the amount of solute is more, then that is called as concentrated solution. These dilute and concentrated are comparative terms. We can see one activity, that is, take approximately 50 ml of water in two separate beakers. Add salt in one beaker and sugar in another beaker with continuous stirring. When no more solute can be dissolved, heat the content of beaker and start adding the solute again. Here you will observe that the amount of salt and sugar that can be dissolved in water at the temperature is at the given temperature is not same. Different amount of salt and different amount of sugar get dissolved in same amount of water, that is in 50 ml water there is different amount of sugar get dissolved and different amount of salt get dissolved. The maximum amount of solute which can be dissolved in solvent at a particular temperature is known as solubility in that particular solvent. So solubility means what? In a solution, how much amount of solute get dissolved in the solvent at particular temperature. So in this activity, when we add salt in the water or sugar in the water, at certain point sugar or salt will not get dissolved in the water. So that maximum amount of solute which can be dissolved in a solvent at a particular temperature is known as solubility in that particular solvent. There are two conditions which can affect solubility. First one is temperature. Solubility of solids in liquids increases with increase in temperature. So if the solute is solid and solvent is liquid, in that case, if we will increase the temperature, the solubility will also increase. So in activity, when we provide heat to the solution, more amount of salt get dissolved in the water and more amount of sugar get dissolved in the water. So it shows that on increasing temperature, solubility also increases. But solubility of gases in liquid decreases on increasing temperature. If we are dissolving gas in the liquid, then at that time if temperature will increase, solubility will decrease. Another factor or condition which can affect solubility is pressure. Solubility of gases in liquids increases on increasing the pressure. So if we are dissolving gas in liquid and if we are increasing the pressure, so more amount of gas will get soluble in the liquid, whereas solubility of solid in liquids remains unaffected. When we are dissolving any solid solute in the liquid solvent, then pressure will not affect its solubility. So solubility is what? The maximum amount of solute which can dissolve in solvent at a particular temperature. Concentration of solution, it is defined as the amount of solute present in a given amount of solution or amount of solute dissolved in given mass or volume of solvent. Mathematical expression for concentration of a solution, mass by mass percent, is given by concentration of solution is equal to mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. So this is the mathematical expression to find out concentration of solution in percentage. So concentration of solution is equal to mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. In case of liquid solute and liquid solvent, the concentration can be expressed as volume of solute. If the solute is also liquid and solvent is also liquid, then we can use this formula: volume of solute divided by volume of solution into 100. So this is about the concentration of solution. Based on how much quantity of solute get dissolved in it. A solution in which no more quantity of solute can be dissolved at a particular temperature is called saturated solution. So when no more solute will dissolve in the solvent, then that solution is called as saturated solution. In this activity, initially we were adding salt in the water, and at one point no more salt or sugar is getting dissolved in it, and that particular solution is called as saturated solution. And another type is unsaturated solution, a solution in which more quantity of solute can be dissolved without raising its temperature. So the solution in which the more quantity of solute can be dissolved is called as unsaturated solution. Next type of solution is suspension. See, a suspension is a heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remain suspended throughout the bulk of medium. So it is a heterogeneous mixture in which solids are not dissolved. Solids are dispersed in liquid. For example, when chalk powder is added in water, or mixture of chalk and water, muddy water, fluorine water, all these are the examples of suspension. A suspension is heterogeneous mixture in which the solute particles do not dissolve but remains suspended. Now, properties of suspension. It is a heterogeneous mixture because it is not having uniform composition. The particles of suspension can be seen by naked eyes. So the size of particles of suspension is more than 100 nanometer, and we can see it with our naked eyes. The particles of suspension scatter a beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. So when you will take suspension like muddy water or fluorine water in a glass and focus the torch light on it, you can observe the path of light because the solute particles are bigger in size, and as the light ray falls on those particles, the particles will scatter the light. And so in case of suspension, the particles of suspension scatter beam of light passing through it and make its path visible. A suspension is unstable solution. So what is stable solution? That if the solute particles do not settle down when the solution kept undisturbed, then that is called as stable solution. But if we will keep this suspension undisturbed, then after sometimes the solute particles settle down when we keep this suspension undisturbed, and so this suspension is called as unstable solution. Constituents of suspension can be separated by the process of filtration. As the particle size is large, that is more than 100 nanometer, So it can be easily separated by the process of filtration. Another type of solution is colloidal solution. See, the particles of colloid are uniformly spread throughout the solution due to the relatively smaller size of particles as compared to suspension. So the particles of colloids, particle of colloidal solution is smaller than the suspension, and so this mixture appears as a homogeneous mixture, but actually it is not a homogeneous mixture. Colloidal solution is also heterogeneous mixture, but the particle size is lies, or the range of particle size is 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. So the particles are bigger than true solution and smaller than suspension. A colloid is a heterogeneous mixture. The size of particles of colloid is too small to be individually seen by naked eyes. So the particles of colloids cannot be seen with our naked eyes. The particles of colloidal solution are big enough to scatter beam of light when passing through it. So colloids can also scatter the beam of light, because though the particles are very small and uniformly mixed, but the size of particle is bigger than the true solution. And so whenever light rays are passing through the solution, that light rays incident on that particles, and those particles scatter the light, and the path of light is visible through colloidal solution. A colloidal is a quite stable solution, because when we will keep this colloidal solution undisturbed, it will not solute particles will not get settled down. So it is a stable solution. Colloidal particles cannot be separated by the process of filtration. Example is milk, smoke, starch solution. So we cannot separate the milk particles and water, or we cannot separate the components of colloidal solution. One new term is there, that is Tyndall effect. The scattering of light by colloidal particle is known as Tyndall effect. The name is after the scientist who discovered this effect. Tyndall effect can also be observed when a fine beam of light enters a room through a small hole. This happens due to scattering of light by the particles of dust and smoke. So when a dark room is there and light is entering in that room from a small hole, we can observe the Tyndall effect, because the light falls on the dust particle present over there, and the scattering of light takes place. This effect can be observed when sunlight passes through the canopy of dense forest. In the forest, mist contains tiny droplets of water which act as a colloidal particles which are dispersed in air. So the mist light falls on the mist, and mist are the tiny droplets of water, and it creates the Tyndall effect. The components of colloidal solution. Colloidal solution are having two components. One is dispersed phase. The solute-like components or the dispersed particles in the colloid forms the dispersed phase. So the solute-like particles are called as dispersed phase, and dispersion medium is the component in which dispersed phase is suspended. Here different types of colloidal solutions are there. Aerosol. Aerosol in this dispersed phase is the liquid and dispersing medium is the gas. Example, fog, cloud, mist. Then aerosol, solids and gas. So it is the colloidal solution of solid and gas. Smoke, automobile exhaust. Foam is a colloidal solution of gas and liquid. Example is shaving cream. Emulsion, liquid, milk and face cream. Next term which we are going to discuss is the physical change and chemical change. We can observe these changes in our day-to-day life. See, what is physical change? Those changes in which only physical properties of substances change but no new substance are formed are called as physical change. So the change in which only physical properties changes and no new substance is formed is called physical change. Example, melting of ice to form water. So when ice melts, its state changes, means from solid state it comes to the liquid state. There is no formation of new substance takes place. So it is a physical change. Then breaking of glass, it is a physical change because the properties of glass will remain same. Another type of change is chemical change. Those changes in which new substances are formed are called chemical changes, and chemical properties of a substance get changed in chemical change. For example, rusting of iron. In rusting of iron, a layer of iron oxide is formed. Brown color layer is formed on the iron article. This is the layer formed due to reaction between moisture, oxygen and the iron. So it is a chemical change in which new substance, that is iron oxide, is formed. Then burning of a piece of paper. When paper is burned, then the carbon dioxide gas is released and the ash is formed. That ash is nothing but the carbon. So here from one substance new substance is formed having completely different properties. Physical change is the reversible change, means if ice melts and form water, and if we will freeze that water, then we can again obtain ice, or water can be obtained in the form of ice. But the chemical change is irreversible. Once the rusting of iron takes place, then we cannot obtain iron from that iron oxide, or once the paper is burned, we cannot re-obtain the paper. So the chemical change and physical change. Physical change is reversible and chemical change is irreversible. Here we are having differences between chemical and physical change. In case of physical change, only physical properties like state, shape, size changes, and in case of chemical change, the chemical properties of substance changes. In physical change, no chemical composition of substance is changing, so chemical composition will remain same. In case of chemical change, chemical composition of substance changes. In physical change, no new substance is formed. In chemical change, there will be formation of new substance. Physical change is temporary and reversible. Just now we discussed it. Reversible means we can obtain the original substance again in case of physical change. And chemical change is permanent and irreversible. Once this change takes place, we cannot reverse it. One more example we can take: milk convert into curd. So this is the chemical change. Once the milk converts into curd, we cannot obtain milk from the curd. So it is a permanent and irreversible change. Students, I hope you understood today's topic, that is different types of matter based on chemical properties. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.